Hello guys, welcome to the coverage of the Asian Nation Cup quarterfinals. The Indian men are playing Mongolia today, whereas the Indian women who finished top of the table are playing Kyrgyzstan. So let's have a look at the games. Nihal Sarin is playing on the top board for India today. And I'm going to show you all the 8 games today that are going to be played. So all of White's pieces are attacking the Black King here, and Nihal is in some sort of a defensive position. You see the pawn here, it's advancing. Nihal, Nihal has to try and hold the position here. Let's move to the next game. Our captain Surya Ganguly is playing Bilguun Sumiya. Sorry, I'll just correct the boards here. Okay, Surya Ganguly had played e4 in the opening. You can see black's pieces are boxed in here, so it is advantage for white. Let's move to the third board, Sethuraman. Sethuraman is in a good position here. I'll tell you why. Both of his knights are trying to establish an outpost on the c4 square that can create trouble for white later on. Krishnan Sasikiran, he's doing good. Guys, we are doing good on all of the boards, and I'm really happy for the men's team who have not been doing so well. Okay, guys, let's move to the women's team matches. Vaishali on the top board against Alexandra is doing quite good. The dark colored bishop of black has all its diagonals blocked. So let's see what happens. Vishali is a very upcoming talent. And okay, okay. Bhakti Kulkarni is clearly winning here. If you take through the rook, it's checkmate due to the queen and the bishop on b7, directly attacking this pawn on g2. If you take through the queen, the black squared bishop is taking the queen. And it is 1 point in the first round for the Indian team. That is great. Bhakti played a great game here. Let's just go back some moves and see what happened here. Okay, check. The king moves to h1. You displace the knight and see. This is the line of attack I'm talking about. This rook is coming here supported by this bishop. And that is it. Game over. Okay. Padmini was in a negative position earlier. She's just trying to sort of draw level. We'll keep a watch on that. Okay. Nandhidhaa. Women Grandmaster Nandhidhaa is in a clear advantageous position. You have to save the queen, so this knight is going to fall anyway. So the Indian women are clearly winning here. Okay. Sorry for my bad throat. Nihal is playing a complicated position here, and let's decipher it for you. This knight is protecting the bishop here, so hope it doesn't fall. Maybe some idea of bishop d6 and the rook may double up. So, okay, it is an even position, and we'll move to Surya Ganguly's game. Is clearly in a better position here. His opponent Bilguun castled on the short side, whereas he castled on the long side. And all of his pieces are on the seventh or eighth rank. And you see, White's pieces are clearly developed. So, this is a very important principle in chess where you develop your pieces and Black's pieces are boxed in. Clearly, you have the development advantage and you can start attacking very quickly. I'll be on here showing you the matches. Stay tuned. So Surya Ganguly has time advantage too. I told you about this outpost. No, now see, white cannot displace this knight, and later on, after exchanging pieces, this is like a solid outpost and can come and have various threats here. Okay, a draw has been offered. Krishnan Sasikiran also in a very good position here. The C file. After moving this knight, the C file becomes open, pushing the pawn to C4 and later on C5, exchanging it somehow with the support of the queen. And yes, white is good here. Guys, I'm not commenting every move and every second because I want you guys also to get involved in the game and see how grandmasters move. So let's move on to the women's team. Vaishali clearly in a better position here. She can create an outpost for the bishop in the b6 square. And yes, you see again, this rook isn't developed and it isn't in the game. And black's pieces are again boxed in the 7th and the 8th file. And clearly, white's pieces are developed here. So let's see, can Vaishali convert this into a win? Okay, black has two connected pawns here, F and E pawns, and supposedly F4, F3 ideas are also there if you don't capture G into F4. So clearly not a good position for Padmini Rout. Nandhidhaa is in a better position. See, white's two major pieces, the bishop and the rook, are again boxed in and haven't moved. So clearly the development principles, the Basics of chess are not being applied appropriately here. I think so the Indian women team would be able to manage a win here. Okay. Ganzorig has clearly bettered his position against Nihal Sarin, who's playing on the first board here. Let's see how. Black's two bishops, the light square and the dark square, are just passive and aren't either defending or attacking as well. Whereas the f7 square is being threatened by this battery of two rooks and the queen, and there are some knight attacking threats as well. You see, if he pushes the d5 pawn to the d6 square supported by the knight, there are some threats of the bishop being forced to move to g5 square and the knight captures and you capture h into g6 and again weakening the king side more. Guys, do like this stream so that more people connect. Okay, tactics being applied here. You cannot take e into f5 as rook takes the queen. So yeah, good moves being applied there by the captain. And I think so he would be able to convert the win. But Nihal is not in a good position. Whereas Sethu is one pawn up and better positionally against Tsegmed on the third board here. So the predictions are in, and you guys are predicting 3-1 score line for both the men and Indian women team. So that is great. Let's move to Krishnan Sasikiran's game. A draw is being offered by his opponent here. I think so he would reject the draw offer because if Nihal Sarin is losing the other three boards, either two have to win and one draws, but he's here in a better position, and I don't think so. He would like to draw. You see, he has a rook for a knight, and he's material up, so I don't think so. He would like to draw. So there's this outpost for the knight here. And we have a result. We have a result in the Indian men team. Nihal Sarin has lost to Ganzorig, and let's see how. Okay, if you are thinking that you take through the bishop, the knight is going to check the king, and you are forced to take through the queen, otherwise it is checkmate. So a pretty bad result because you cannot defend this checkmate here, supported through the knight. So the Indian men team are down 1 point in round one of the quarterfinals, whereas the Indian women team are 1 point up. Surya Ganguly is driving home the advantage. These two pawns are scattered and they would fall easily. So Surya Ganguly has to defend this knight here. Sethuraman has 30 seconds on the clock and he has to find some good moves so that he's able to convert the advantage into a win. Top board of the Indian women team, R. Vaishali, sister of R. Pragananda, is just playing fantastically here, and I don't find a way that she'll be able to lose this game. Okay, maybe rook takes the pawn, but yeah, you have to defend the f7 square with ideas of e6. So now the rook cannot take because you are attacking the bishop with some threats of queen d8 later on. So an exchange here. It's and Indian women team have secured one more point here. And that is mate. She fell for the trap Nandhidhaa had set up here. If you take the, she had checked the king and it was forced, and there was no way the opponent was coming out of this. So Vaishali clearly in a better position here. Let's see Padmini Rout's game. Okay, she has 3 pawns against 2 pawns, and the black A pawn is advancing, which either through a rook sacrifice. If you move the king and get it in a position of being checked by black's rook, then you are going to have to sacrifice the rook. But Padmini Rout, she's an IM. She's not going to do such basic mistakes, and she, she will slowly and steadily start pushing the pawns, and clearly black would have to stop it. a draw offered in one of the games. Let's see. Let's see what is happening in the men's team round. Surya Ganguly has 4 pawns against 2, and later he would just get the bishop to defend the b pawn if it is in attack to the rook. Okay, clearly some counter attacks here by Bilguun. This is a pretty interesting game. Okay, now you have to take through the rook. Exchange, exchange. 3 pawns against 1, but opposite colored bishop. Okay, Padmini Rout has also converted her advantage here into a win. And as predicted, it is a 3-1 score line in favor of the Indian women team here. Pretty happy, but still, there's one more round to go in the quarterfinals. The colors of the teams would be inversed. So the Indian women team won 3-1 in the first round, and we will stream the second round after it starts. Right now in the Indian men's team in a fight, and Surya Ganguly has let his advantage disappear here. Okay. All pass off here, and the advantage is clearly broken here. And now you cannot keep the pawn to promote because either the bishop or the king are here to block it. And you cannot get the king back to try and start promoting the a pawn because this pawn is going to fall. So a drawn match. Setu has won the match, so it is 1.5, 1.5, and all depends on Krishnan Sasikiran's match here. Okay, he was trying and promoting the b pawn here, and there was no option for Tsegmed to just take it, and now the white king. If he moves either way, the h or the f pawn are falling, and the knight is in a very good position to defend all the attacks. And yes, clearly there's no way for white to come back in here. The last match of round one of the quarterfinals between Krishnan Sasikiran and Gan-Erdene Sugar. Okay, now he's going to try to just check. His opponent has 3 pawns against 1 pawn of Krishna Sasikiran, but is also material down. So now check from the rook, and if the king moves, okay, he's trying to close the file and the checks clearly here. The idea here is chess tactics being applied here. If you take through the f pawn, the rook would take it. The black rook can take the h pawn, so the white rook is forced to leave this square, g5 square, and now the white rooks can develop to attack the h4 pawn, and there's no way it is prevented. So he gave up the pawn. And clearly, 1 pawn against a rook isn't winning, and Krishnan Sasikiran, barring no internet disconnections, shall be able to convert this match and win it 2.5 to 1.5 in favor of India. Grandmaster will not lose this endgame, that is for sure. The king is forced onto the f6 square or f4 square. Now you will move back to g5 and trying to exchange the rooks, a pawn against the rook. Now there would be a check on f1, probably. King goes to g2. Now the rook would just try and consolidate on the f file to attack the f5 pawn. King g3, and maybe he's holding on. His opponent, Gan-Erdene Sugar, is holding on. But I think so. India would be able to win this match. Some maneuvering is needed by Krishnan Sasikiran. And his opponent is also low on time, whereas Krishnan Sasikiran has close to 2 minutes. So just India is going to win this match. A pretty good maneuver. You see, the king went up to the h5 square, and now you just take the pawn through the king, and two rooks against one rook. Just defend the checks, and that is it. King to f5, one more check, king to d4. Now the king goes to the 8th rank, and it's game over. The rook has to go to rook moves to h8, because then there's a direct mate if you don't go back to the h8 square. Classic example of a rook battery, and that is it. India won the match 2.5 to 1.5, and India have secured round one of the quarterfinals. Just stay tuned for round two. That would we would be bringing in some time. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with round two in a bit.